Welcome back, UFC fans. We have UFC Fight Night, Kape, Almabayev in the Apex. Wah, 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 wah. The energy in the Apex just makes me so absolutely sick. This is actually a decent card. Doesn't have a lot of face value in it, but when you get down to the nitty gritty and you look at some of these guys' records, you look at what's on the line, there are a lot of zeros on the line. There are UFC careers on the line. We're going to get to that. We're doing our picks, predictions, and upsets. Y'all know where we start. We start at the very bottom in the prelims. We got Montana De La Rosa taking on Luna Carolina. Now, De La Rosa, a streaky UFC career. She's coming off a win, and when I tell you that win is very controversial, a split decision. She is a freestyle fighter, but I don't know if she's going to be able to keep up with Luna Carolina. Luna coming off a win, Muay Thai fighter, 6-3 in her UFC career. Her pacing and cardio output, I think, is probably going to have Montana De La Rosa against the fence the whole fight. Give me Luna Carolina with the win. Next, we have Charles Johnson. And now when I tell you they got to stop disrespecting my boy, 6-4 in his UFC career, but 4-0 in the year 2024. Every time I got on social media, we were seeing Charles Johnson fight news. Crisp stand-up, solid takedown. I wish I could see him use his takedowns more on the offensive. He is very chinny. He can get dropped, and that is scary against a guy like Ramazan Timurvaliev, who has knockout power in the flyweight division. If you've not seen his only fight in the UFC, the knockout was absolutely brutal. I think Charles Johnson's been cracked in the chin enough to where he knows, keep your distance, use your wrestling, go out here, get this dub. And can we get my boy a ranked fighter again? What are we doing, UFC? I get he probably accepted it. He's that guy that they're like, you know what, we're going to go to him because he's going to fight. And they went to him and he's absolutely going to fight. Give me Charles Johnson with the dub. Next, we have Andrea Lee, and JJ Aldrich. Now, when I told you some people are getting dropped from the UFC if they lose, Andrea Lee is 2-7 in her UFC career, coming off a controversial split decision loss. So who can you guess it? Montana De La Rosa fighting JJ Aldrich, who is 10-4 in her UFC career. She was brutally outstruck her last fight. I'm still rocking with her. She's a 205 favorite, 0% chance I'm on to the next. We got Danny Silva and Lucas Almeida. Danny Silva, a solid prospect in the UFC. He is a 225 favorite. A prospect coming off a win. His boxing is so crisp. If you've not watched this man, the one downside, he's not great in the clinch. He gives his back up. He gets taken down. But if you stand in there and you actually box with him, he's going to pick you apart. He's precise. He has precision. He doesn't throw flurries. He throws with confidence. He throws with a game plan. I'm rocking Danny Silva with the dub. Lucas Almeida is 2-2 in his UFC career. He has good cardio. This just gives me Andre touchy-feely matchup vibes where he lost that fight. I think Danny Silva is going to go in there and absolutely outclass him. Next, we have Douglas Silva DeAndre. Douglas Silva DeAndre. Where am I at? Hold on. Let me scroll through my notes. Douglas Silva DeAndre, he is 6-6 in his UFC career. He's fought some absolute monsters, being one of them Petr Yan, whichever one it is, however you want to say it. If you want to roast me in the comments, go ahead. He's fought some absolute dogs. He can go the distance with them. He can strike with some of the best of them. He's taking on John Castaneda. John Castaneda is 4-3 in his UFC career, and he was outstruck brutally his last fight. And that is a concern with me going into this, because Douglas Da Silva has gone to decision with some amazing fighters, some amazing strikers, and I just don't know if John Castaneda is going to be able to stand in there and strike with him for 3 rounds and actually win the fight. I feel like he's going to have to put him out, and I just don't know if he can do that. Now, this is my upset of the night. I'm rocking Douglas Silva DeAndre. Y'all lock me in on that. Upset of the night right there. After that, we got my boy Kape back in the UFC. Well, not back in the UFC, but back on a fight card. 4-0 in his UFC career. He is a 410 favorite. Ricardo Lemos has been fighting in the UFC since 2017. I think we all know I'm rocking with our boy Kape. Our last prelim of the night, we got Austin Lane taking on Mario Pinto. Now, Austin Lane has really never done anything that is super... how do I want to put this? Impressive. He's been knocked out twice. His last fight, he did beat Despain in a cardio war. Congratulations. I mean, to Spain, 30 seconds. You last that, then you're going to win the fight. Mario Pinto. This is a heavyweight who doesn't just throw massive bombs. He throws, again, precision, precise shots. He goes in with a game plan. He picks you apart. He has solid takedown defense. And I think he can go in there and control this fight. And I think he ultimately probably, I don't want to say knocks out Austin Lane. I want to say he probably knocks him. It'll be a TKO. He's not going to knock him out cold, but he's going to pick his body apart, and I think ultimately finish him in round 2. On to our main card, we have Danny Barlow 2-0 in the UFC, coming off a controversial split decision win and a KO victory, taking on Sam Patterson. Now, Sam Patterson is a 250 underdog, but when you go and you look at his fights, he has solid cardio. He can go in there and box with the best of them, but what is sneaky about Sam Patterson is he has some absolute sneaky submissions. Now, I usually don't put a lot of upsets on the cards, but I'm rocking with Sam Patterson with the dub, taking Danny Barlow 0 away from him. He's just, when I go watch his fight, go watch his last fight in his last regional fight, and you will see this man has some sneaky submissions. Next, we have Haider Amel taking on William Gomez. Both of these guys undefeated in the UFC. Amel is 2-0. Gomez is 4-0 in the UFC. Amel coming off both wins by knockout. If you watch this man, his hands are so heavy for a featherweight. It kind of reminds me, and this is going to be a long shot. This is going to sound ridiculous. He kind of reminds me of Ilia Topuria. The way Ilia lands, solid precision striking, but when they land, they absolutely land. Taking on William Gomez, 4-0 in the UFC. He's got the cardio. He's got KO power. I think this is really going to test Amel, and ultimately, I think William Gomez comes out with the win. 205 favorite, by the way. Next, we have Nasrat Haqparast taking on Esteban Ribovics. Haqparast, absolute dog. Ribovics, if you've not seen his knockout over Terrence McKinney, you have, because everyone has seen that if you watch the UFC. He's been in there with a lot of, Haqparast has been in there with a lot of high-level guys. He's seen a lot of high-level fighting. Ribovics, just coming off that insane KO over Terrence McKinney. He's a 258 favorite. I'm rocking Esteban Ribovics on this one. Haqparast, would I be surprised if he went in there and got it done? Absolutely not. My heart is telling me Haqparast. My mind is telling me Ribovics. Next, our co-main event of the evening, we have Cody Brundage, who just can't seem to get it going in his UFC career. He's 4-5. He is a pure wrestler taking on Julian Marquez. Now, the odds on this are probably the closest on the card, 102 to 122. I think by fight night, it'll absolutely be a pick'em. It's just a stylistic matchup thing. Marquez can go in there and chin Brundage. Brundage could go in there and hold Marquez down for 3 rounds. Who knows what's going to happen? I think on this one, who did I pick? I think I'm picking Cody Brundage with the win. I think he's going to go in there. I think he's going to stand for a little bit. I think he's going to shoot a takedown. I think he's going to get it, and I think he's going to get it over and over again. I think he's just going to hold him down. I think it's going to be a pretty boring co-main event. And last but not least, our main event of the evening, we have Manel Kape taking on Asu Almabayev. Manel Kape is 5-3 in his UFC career. Asu Almabayev is 4-0. Now, this fight, I think, is going to be a lot closer than people think. We know flyweights don't typically have knockout power like that. Manel Kape is coming off a knockout win. Asu Almabayev, a lot of decisions in his career thus far. I think Manel Kape comes out here and ultimately gets the win. The 5-round cardio war is going to be interesting, though. I think it's going to be closer than the odds make it seem. That is our predictions for UFC Fight Night Vegas. I want y'all to, down in the comments, let me know your official upset of the night and your lock of the night.